Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and this is my second time recording this because I decided to just quit like a minute 40. Just like, okay, I'm done. But so hopefully I get the same good points and the same good commentary on this. But this is from last night's premium live event of No Mercy for NXT. I overall thought it was the best premium live event for NXT so far, and if it wasn't for WWE just bringing banger after banger after banger, like I could say like this could be like almost as good as like a regular thing, but it's like theirs have been so high up there and crazy too, so I can't really say that. But first up we got Baron Corbin versus Braun Breaker. Overall the match was a lot of brutal spots outside of the ring with the tables and the announcing table, and I don't know why I say tables. This is the exact same thing, and they had a lot of crazy cool things outside. Definitely feel like the match suffered from not having like some extra rule to having the brutality. Like maybe some. I mean, like I would say steel cage, but that wouldn't even work because a lot of the great spots were outside. Um, Maybe a TLC match. I don't know. I felt like there was just something missing because every time they were in the ring, just kind of normal wrestling, it kind of like started losing its footing of being like, you know, a great match. But overall, it's still amazing, and a lot of the spots and the brutality, and the ending, ended up saving both stars from it being like nobody really lost in this match because even though Braun Breaker was the one pinned, he didn't cleanly lose, and the heel versus heel thing was just amazing between the two. So I'll definitely give it a A. I feel like Braun Breaker's on his way to the main roster anyways, so I feel like this was his stepping stone. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him again. On the NXT, maybe they'll bump him up. If that happens, maybe I'll make a video on like what we should do with him. I feel like SmackDown off the top of my head would be better. I feel Baron Corbin should stay down in NXT. That was an amazing rivalry that he had, and he could go after somebody like Trick Williams. I think would be the most natural person out of everything I can think off the top of my head. Maybe even Carmelo Hayes, depending on spoilers of seeing the rest of this card. That there's some new storylines that definitely could be popping up. But next up is the Heritage Cup. This is definitely my least favorite type of matchup because it's like everything comes down to the last round, and that last round normally is just something crazy happens. Like they really overbooked it on this one. A 7 versus 1 for Butch, and just barely to lose really sucks. They didn't really need all of that extra stuff. I know they're trying to set up like maybe another rivalry. It looks like because I think the next match will be Butch and Big Shrunk Boy versus what is it? God, I don't. I know their names, but I can't even think of it. But yes, them two that interfered and kind of will now push Dar to go after somebody else. Overall, I'm just not a big fan of the Heritage Cut. I think the rest of the match was pretty decent, but that start and stop just doesn't work for me. I would prefer it to be more like boxing, like longer rounds, and like having like some type of actual like point system to be like, oh, this person won the match or what won the round. Depending on if they got pins or submits. I don't know. There's just something missing from it that really resonates with me to being like a match type I like. But it could go either way when it comes down to it. Next up, we got Dominic Mysterio versus Trick Williams. We have Dragon Lee as the special guest referee. He actually had the deck stacked against Dom, but there was a point there where I thought maybe he could have pulled it off. He just had everything going against him. I called that he probably would have lost that because I feel like they just had to set it up. I think him and Dragon Lee will bring that rivalry into the main roster, and it will bring Dragon Lee onto that, the top, or I guess, upper, I guess, what do you call it? Like, he'll be on Raw, so, like, he'll be in the major leagues, and I think that'll give him some time to, he's already a phenomenal wrestler, I think, just to hone his, promo skills against somebody who can barely ever talk out there because he's getting drowned out with booze. So I think that will help also him. And this will be a big push for Trick Williams. I mean, I kind of called the feeling that like Trick Williams would win and Carmelo Hayes would lose. So that kind of changes the whole dynamic up. And I think that will also just change up their friendship and everything that they'll be going. So maybe even that Melo has to take on Trick. Again, like I said, Baron Corbin would be a really cool rivalry also with him because, I don't think Trick would respect him, so I think there could be a whole new level with that, with even maybe Corbin, taking the title off of him if they choose to go with that. But I think Trick Williams was the perfect pick for this. I think Dom spent enough time in NXT to really get through. I thought maybe, he could have stayed a little bit longer, but I think that was the perfect way to just do it, because I think it now sets up a bunch of extra storylines, and I think it's going to push Dragon Lee to the top. It's going to push, Trick Williams into, like, the top 5 in the men's division on the NXT. And I think it just overall worked really well for every part of every storyline. And the match itself was pretty decent. I'm gonna put it in an A. I probably wouldn't put it S, because I hate those spots where they're like, oh, take out the ref, and take out the ref, and it's just, yeah, it was just one of those things where Trick Williams clearly had won it way earlier, and it just, all the extra spots really weren't needed. Because Dom never got the upper hand ever again after that. But I think it was pretty still solid. Next up, we got the 4-team tag team match, which I wasn't really aware of any of the teams that much. I had originally picked the Creed brothers because that's the only one I've really heard of. It ended up turning into almost like a 4v4 because they were all working together. I didn't like the fake knee injury spot. That kind of always just leaves. They just did it with Bianca, so not even that long ago. They didn't need that for that match. That match was just a lot of people showing up what they got, and it really showed that they have a solid core tag team division that they're definitely trying to bring up. I think Julius Creed was amazing. All of his spots and all of his things were stunning. The 4-way superplex was a lot of good time with that. So overall, I think it was a great match. I'm going to put it in B because of just the fake injury thing. And I think overall, I feel like they could have really made it like a 6-man one. I think that would have been a little bit easier and just had 3 people working at all times. There was just a lot of confusion in the middle with a lot of their fighting that you couldn't even know who the active man was, which is not anything bad. It was just not exactly what I wanted in the match. But overall, I mean, to me, if you got a B, A, or S match, it's definitely a rewatch. It's just kind of a dealer's choice at that. I think everybody cooked in that tag match. I just think that they could have done away with getting rid of a couple of the small things to really move it up, because the fake injury, if they got rid of that, the other thing that was really kind of annoying was a lot of the times where obviously you got to tag in other people, but they really weren't clear on who was the active person half the time, and it kind of just a lot of those it just kind of end kind of abruptly. And I think overall still a great match though. So B. Next up, Carmelo versus Ilya. That was just a banger. You're just watching it. You're just staring at the thing. You don't even that it's going to be a very good match. It's going to be 20 to 25 minutes. I think it was a 20-minute match. I lost my brain of just what am I doing? I'm just staring at the screen, seeing it go back and forth. And Ilya won, and that's who I was thinking. I think he is so close to the epitome, the best men's wrestler on NXT. I think he overall talent wise, I think he's the best men's wrestler, and I think Carmelo Hayes is the best promo and wrestler. I think he's the most ready to move on, other than Braun Breaker. I think both of them definitely need to be elevated up. I don't know if there's any room for spots. To me, if you guys want, also I could do a video on Carmelo, what we should do with him. I personally think he should go to SmackDown also, and I think he should go right after Austin Theory. I think that would be a great first person for him to go after, because they're still kind of high on Austin Theory, and I think that could really set up an amazing rivalry. But even putting him on Raw, he could get, we've already seen him help Seth Rollins out, and he could have safety numbers. But I think for his story right now, they need to keep him in NXT and have this weird dynamic with him and Trick, and now Trick having the title, and that Melo wants to, Trick's hoping that he will help him protect his title, but Melo has other ideas. He wants to get his title back. So I think that will be an interesting story if they go with that, and could also have them face off against each other with Trick just keep pestering him, and Melo's fine, I'm tired of you wanting to get this title, I'm gonna take it off of you, and then have them fight against each other. And that could be an amazing match that could set both of them up to the next level of where they need to be at. So I think it was great. Obviously this match, as I digressed pretty far out of it, it was an S tier match. We knew it would be. They've already had the Great American Bash was an amazing match too. I definitely think this one was better to me, at least. I feel like it was more of a fluent match. The other one was still amazing. Like, it's hard to say, like, I'm comparing the two. But, like, this one was amazing too. And then certainly not, the main event was nothing to bat your eyes again. I don't know what we've tried to say. Like, it wasn't something to look down on. The women's NXT title match between Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton was amazing. It gave a whole new side of Tiffany, which I think is what they really wanted, that this rivalry was going to give her. And I think this was the perfect way of doing it in Extreme Rules. She went out there. She had some really good spots. Obviously, Becky's the veteran and was going to win that one. We kind of expected it because, one, they have a NXT title match on Monday Night Raw, so that was kind of like, what did we expect? If you, I don't know why they do that type of stuff where they book themselves into, like, oh yeah, you're next up for the title, and then obviously if you're already calling a shot for somebody, then they're gonna still have the title. Like, that's just kind of one of those things. But other than that, we know that what Becky's doing down there is gonna help a lot of the women go over, and then they're gonna have the whole tournament, which will show off a lot of different people to get a title chance. I think will be another good thing to put somebody else kind of up towards the top of the card. I still believe if you're gonna pick somebody to do it, it's gonna be Roxana Perez to dethrone her. But again, they could go multiple ways, and I think until they decide, like, when it's ready, I think they're gonna go with the hottest person at that time that needs that push. So right now, I don't see it being anybody in particular, because I think they're going to keep it on Becky for at least a little bit longer. And I'm cool with it, because it gives her a chance to wrestle some really good matches, and she's still on Raw, but also can be on NXT and can be on different things, and it gives her more of a blanketed thing to be shown off more, which is amazing for any of the top 5 women talent that they have. If any of those, get shown and into different spots, it's where it needs to be. Like, just, you take those opportunities, and I think she will. So, S tier, that match was amazing. The spots were great. A lot of the weapons were great. Overall, everything was pretty good with it. The overall pay-per-view, I'd still give, like, an A. It was just really good. And it felt like, other than the Heritage Cup match, all of them just felt like a pretty solid thing. Not too long, not too short. But overall, I'm down for it. This is my first start to finish where I sat there and watched all of it without just like watching, going back and watching matches. So it was definitely my favorite. But like that, it might be a little, not there's not many other options. But hope you guys enjoyed this. If you agreed, or what you guys thought of the pay-per-view, if you want to put it down in the bottom. And don't forget, I have a wrestling podcast. It's every Tuesday on this channel. And there should be like 3 episodes up right now when this is aired. So check it out, and check it out Tuesday. Bye, guys.